just going to be gone for a few days.
Another conference. Can't you tell them no? It's not like you're saving the world.
Mixing mission with love, huge mistake.
Honey, you're doing great.
What are you going to do?
Think of it as a fantasy we get to live in.
Nice work, guys.
Best part ever, am I right?
True Lies, new tonight, 10/9 Central on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
The final two teams face off.
Yes. Thanks for watching News 12 on your side.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, first at 5.
Protecting the youth against sexual extortion. This South Carolina bill has a big backing, but it may face challenges after debate and changes. We explain in a moment.
But first, students are the way of the future, and Columbia County school leaders want them to help fight a teacher shortage.
Our Nick Veland was at a summit today aimed at streamlining students to become teachers starting at high school.
250 students, all energetic and excited, traveled to the Columbia County Performing Arts Center as the county took today as an opportunity to inspire the next generation of teachers. From fielding questions in a theater to networking during lunch, students were immersed with the possibilities with the next steps of becoming a teacher. They heard from Augusta University and a panel with teachers who have won Columbia County Teacher of the Year in the past. Brooke Smith with the Columbia County School District says, like how the best golfers come to Augusta, they brought the best teachers to Columbia County today.
I'm sure that there are those that are going to be spectators at the golf course, and they're going to be watching those that are at the top of their game, and it's probably going to inspire them to go out and hit a few balls and do a few rounds themselves because they want to be like those stars that they're seeing. Well, we've got the stars in our game that are here today, and these students are able to connect with them, and we hope that's going to inspire them to continue their pathway into this profession.
And coming up all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll hear more about how Columbia County is looking to fight the teacher shortage and hear from students looking to take the next steps in becoming teachers. In Columbia County, Nick Veland on your side.
Today is round one of the Augusta National Women's Am.
And the leading 30 players and ties from today and Thursday's play will advance to the final round at Augusta National Golf Club on Saturday. And we're going to take a look here at the leaderboard. Sitting there at the top, we have Zhang, Lignell, and Bay round out the top three after round one. All eyes will be on Anna Davis, though, who won last year, becoming the tournament's youngest champion in its 3-year history. It's already been a tough start for Davis, though. During a play on her first hole, she lifted her ball and failed to replace it on its original spot on 2 separate occurrences, according to tournament organizers. Under Rule 9.4, Davis was penalized 2 strokes for each occurrence of playing from a wrong place. Her score on that hole was increased from a 5 to a 9, so a tough break there for Anna Davis. Some familiar names, though, on the leaderboard for us. We have Rose Zhang, who played really well in last year's tournament.
And also Jensen Castle too, West Columbia, so we kind of claim her almost as a local play for the University of Kentucky.
Yeah, and actually her post-game press conference, pretty interesting because she was talking about how she had a stress fracture from 2 years ago. That started flaring up about a week ago, so she took the past weekend off from golf completely.
Wow.
So this is her first time playing in about a week, and she said she's going to go try to get treatment for that, put some ice, put some heat on it, and see if she can continue that round. I know she's playing under some pain, so definitely something to watch throughout the week.
It's always pretty dramatic, and Augusta National really knows how to put this on. And talk about all eyes being on some women who typically, I mean, it's the women's AM, so these women aren't used to huge galleries and huge crowds watching
really
them,
cool.
so it's really awesome to see the Augusta National grow the game of golf, especially for women.
Absolutely, and we're going to turn now to weather. We're going to send things over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. Riley, the weekend in just about 10 minutes. Thanks, Riley. As we speak, dozens are getting together for a citywide vigil in Nashville to mourn the victims of Monday's deadly mass shooting at the Covenant School. We are also learning more about the 3 adults and 3 children killed at that school. Mike Hill, the school's beloved custodian, Big Mike to all the kids, and 3 9-year-old students, Evelyn Decos, Hallie Scruggs, her father, the pastor of the church that runs the school, and their classmate William Kinney, substitute teacher Cynthia Peak, who was filling in at Covenant on Monday. Police identified the shooter as 28-year-old Audrey Hale, a former student at that school. And while officials say Hale was being treated for an unspecified emotional disorder, police say they have yet to uncover any specific issues in Hale's past that would foreshadow such a violent act.
A woman from Georgia is credited with saving lives of others. 60-year-old Catherine Kuntz is one of the 6 victims from Monday morning's deadly school shooting. Kuntz was the headmaster of the private Christian school. One of her friends says the headmaster sacrificed her life saving others.
She would 100% believe that defending those children and her other teachers would be the right thing to do, especially given her position as headmaster. So it's not surprising, what we're learning as the story unfolds more and more about, where she was and what she did and, when she was killed in the process.
Crow says she became friends while Kuntz lived in Atlanta before she moved to Tennessee. Kuntz taught at the Covenant School for nearly 7 years.
The FBI reports thousands of minors were targeted across the country last year and became victims of sexual extortion or sextortion. That's the crime when they're coerced into sending explicit images, oftentimes to a stranger they've met online, and then extorted for money. State House reporter Mary Green tells us why one lawmaker has made it his mission to end this in South Carolina.
Freshman Representative Brandon Guffey says cracking down on this crime wasn't among his focuses when he was running for his House seat in York County last year. But in the months since, he says this has become his purpose in serving here at the State House.
July 27th of 2022, I lost my son to this crime.
Guffey's 17-year-old son, Gavin, took his life just hours after Guffey says a stranger reached out to Gavin, coerced him into sending intimate images of himself, and then tried to extort him for money. This bill would make a crime like that, called sexual extortion or sextortion, punishable by up to 30 years in prison in South Carolina. Sextortion is one in a larger category of cyber-sexual harassment crimes, commonly referred to as revenge porn, and South Carolina is one of 2 states without a revenge porn law. The FBI says the criminals in many sextortion incidents are from outside the U.S., and Guffey says he's learned from law enforcement this oftentimes involves organized criminal networks. Since Gavin's death, Guffey's been active online, posting videos like this one and sharing what he's learned with anyone who wants to hear.
My purpose was, at some point, there's going to be another parent that loses a child. And it's one thing to lose a child, but it's another to know that your child chose to take their life. And my point was to try and document what I was going through, so that in hopes that it will help another parent that has to go through it.
Guffey says to really crack down on this crime, it's going to take more action from the federal government and from tech and social media companies. But he says at the very least, passing this bill would bring more awareness to how widespread this issue is and encourage more families to talk with each other about it. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Thanks for that, Mary. 5 planets will align in the night sky this week. Stick around next, live at 5, and we'll tell you where and how you can see them. Riley?
And with clear skies tonight, that means our temperatures are dropping, most likely waking up in the 30s for a few spots tomorrow morning. I will get a warm up, though, and also some weekend rain chances just after the break.
Whether you're on or off the course, there's plenty of things to do across the two-state area. And coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we give you an inside look into some of those things that you can do.
Time and temp to our Sunday. Full look at the 7-day forecast. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. Watching that change for storm Saturday, but looking good to go again by Sunday.
Thanks, Riley. Get ready to look up to the sky. A planetary parade is coming. The alignment of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Uranus will become visible in just 2 days.
It's pretty cool stuff, and to continue that way over the next couple of weeks, you will be able to see this. Neat stuff here. Meteorologist Anthony Carpino joins us now in the studio to explain where you can see them. Anthony.
Yeah, guys, as the sun sets later on this evening, like Riley mentioned, the skies are going to begin to clear out a little bit. So what you want to do is go ahead and look into the western sky. This is where you're going to be able to see the first round of planets, Jupiter as well as Mercury. They're going to be lowest on the western sky. You have the best opportunity to see them as we get closer to about 7:50 all the way through about 8:30 this evening. Again, they're going to be a little bit lower in the sky. Next up, we're going to see both Venus as well as Uranus there. Now, you will need that telescope for Uranus. You'll have about until 7:50 all the way through 10:30 this evening as those planets begin to set in the evening sky. Followed up by that is going to be Mars. That's going to be best visible again right after sunset through about 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, that's going to be it for the planets. We will have the moon a little bit higher up in the sky as well, and you can track the moon as we go through a bit later on tonight all the way through the early morning hours. But if you do want to see all the planets at one time, make sure to go outside just after sunset. Give the sky a second to darken a little bit more, and you'll be able to see some of those smaller planets. You're definitely going to want to use the binoculars and the telescope for some of them, but you will be able to see things like Mars, Venus, as well as Jupiter with the naked eye. If you want to see some of those planets that are further away, just make sure you pull out that telescope. We're going to be taking the telescope out on the putting green a little bit later on, and we'll be sure to share some of those pictures with you guys. But looking forward to seeing all of these planets in the sky. Guys, back over to you.
I'm coming to hang out with you guys later. Sounds cool. Look forward to it. Well, some parents call it death by zip code. Coming up next, why newborn health screenings vary state by state. Stick with us.
On the News 12 app, available on your Roku, Fire Stick, and other smart TV devices.
Newborn screenings save thousands of lives every year with a simple heel prick test. But where you live plays a role in whether certain potentially deadly disorders will be caught.
And experts say there's no reason geography should be a death sentence. National investigative reporter Josie Sturman dug through federal data and discovered disparities in testing from state to state that make a difference in whether their families are given life-saving information.
It starts with a pinprick on the heel of a tiny baby just hours old. What's collected on these samples from babies just beginning their lives could tell a complex story that changes them forever.
It's great because that one tiny little blood spot, we can get so many answers.
Answers that come from newborn screening done on every baby born in the U.S. before they leave the hospital. The tests look for certain conditions that might not be obvious at birth, but may have devastating or deadly consequences.
Most of these conditions are incredibly rare. Generally, there's not a family history. Family may have never even heard of this.
Susan Tanksley has. She oversees the Texas State Lab responsible for running tests on hundreds of thousands of newborn screening cards.
So with this instrument, we're able to screen for 44 different disorders, and that's core conditions and secondary conditions on the recommended uniform screening panel.
The Recommended Uniform Screening Panel, or RUSP, is an ever-expanding list of conditions recommended by a federal committee. Right now, it's limited to just 37 conditions and diseases, but there's nothing uniform about its implementation, as states make their own mandates. Our national investigative team discovered the things your baby is screened for depend on where you live.
Your life shouldn't be dictated by the zip code you live in.
In many places, it is. And the loss of Elisa Seeger's son set her on a mission to change that.
I don't want another child to suffer the way he suffered, because I can't really explain how bad that suffering was.
Aiden Seeger seemed like a happy, healthy 6-year-old. It was problems with his vision that led to a diagnosis of adrenoleukodystrophy, or ALD. The disease, which impacts the brain and nervous system, first took Aiden's sight, then his ability to function, and eventually his life just a year later. ALD was eventually added to New York's screening panel and the RUSP, but only 35 states and D.C. included in their newborn screening, even though it can be fatal.
It's just mind-boggling to me why this is such a difficult battle.
It's a war to save children that's being fought state by state, with borders often creating a dividing line that can be deadly. We spent months comparing data from the U.S. Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, which tracks screening. We found there isn't a single state in the U.S. testing for all 37 conditions on the RUSP.
The things that are on the list now, I cannot come up with a health-based reason for them not to be uniformly screened in all 50 states and however many territories.
Strong words from Dr. Ned Kalaj, the man leading the committee that approves recommendations to the Rust before they're given final approval by the health secretary. He says his highest priority after becoming chair last year was to try and get every state to implement testing for conditions already on the Rust.
You can have two states that are just, one line apart on the map and have very different screening lists.
We noticed South Carolina not on that list. Now, the CDC says about 12,500 newborns each year are diagnosed with one of the core conditions caught through newborn screening. That's 1 in 300 babies. We're back in a bit.